Tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora everybody, Che Wilson here from Te Pai Pai Waho. Sending a big mihi out to you all as I connect in through a number of platforms tonight to share kōrero. And tonight's kōrero, moving away from tangihanga now. We've covered heaps on how to deal with tangihanga in this COVID situation. But to focus in on where do you get your kai ā-wairua from? And how do you sustain yourself? But before I do that, just want to open us up and mihi to everybody. Anā, ko rākau nui tēnei, ko mārewa ki te rangi. Let's open up with a karakia. Tēnei te whanake o te tau, tēnei te matamata o te tau, heururangi, heururangi. Ka uru atu ki tēnei wahanga o te tau, kia tupu, kia nui, kia pupu, kia wano, kia putuki wao, ki te hoi au, ki te ao marama. E ronga whakairi ake ki runga ai, turuturu au i te whakamaua kia tīna, hui e, tāiki e. Tāiki e kia tātou, katoa. So kia ora everybody. Been kicked out of my normal place that I do our kōrero, to downstairs here. And just want to send out a big mihi to everybody. A big mihi to everybody. Mindful there was a bit of anxiety. Gee, bro. Oh, kōrua tahi. There was a bit of anxiety here yesterday in the Waikato whether we would go back up to level 3. But fingers crossed everything's been contained in the hauraki there by Mangatangi and that Kaiaua. And the sending our karo there and sending a heap of aroha to all our whānau and Tāmaki Makaurau, mindful that you'll all be looking forward to being safe and also dropping down to level 3 tonight. Nā reira, tēnā koutou. O te rā, tēnā katoa tātou I roto I tēnei pō. As I said, I thought I'd move away from tangihanga and how to work through tangihanga under the various levels, but also want to acknowledge Wentuatangi and Rotorua, kei te pāpā Sani, e moi. And again, we saw another interpretation and it worked. It was bloody awesome. And but another interpretation where they had people at the gate to explain everything, and went on to the marae, no hariru, which was hard again, quite hard. And then we went into the whare kai and they had hot soup takeaway cups and they had bags of kai takeaway. And then they also had a setup where they had a coffee caravan. And it was cool. You know, it was different again because each marae's done it differently. Some marae have provided takeaway, but also still had a sit-down kai. This marae did it different again, and it was cool. But we've covered enough on tangihanga, and so what I wanted to talk about was where do you get your kai ā-wairua from? What fills your cup? What inspires you? And as I said at the beginning of this series, I'm going to be talking about things that happen in my week rather than thinking up something extra. And so over the last week, I've been talking to a few of, yes, Auntie, it was pretty cool. I've been talking to a few of my kaumātua and just having one with them. And the beauty of it is because I often talk fast and I often just go bang, 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 bang. But it reminds me when I talk to my kaumātua that I have to slow down and go at a different pace. And sometimes it's difficult for me, but when I force myself and allow myself to slow down, I get to listen more. I get to hear more. And, you know, I had a couple of really cool kōrero. And what it does is, and I suppose the a key sharing that I want to provide tonight is where do you find your kai ā-wairua from? Where do you find the things that give you sustenance, that fill your cup? Because for some people it's going to a space, going to a physical place to ensure that from that physical place you are then inspired and re-energized. And I call that mana whenua. People call people mana whenua today, but I'm mindful that that term is a legal term which has been given Māori phrase to it. And yet, there is some origins to the legal framing that we use today for mana whenua, but that inspiration and that amazing feeling that you get from when you go to those special geographical features, when you go to different places, that's mana whenua, as I know it. Because it's the mana of that whenua that's injecting you, that's feeding you, that's giving you the inspiration and direction, guidance to carry on. And so places is one example of that. And I'm looking forward to going home for a non-tangi. And we'll be able to go to certain places to do that. But also the chance to be with kaumātua, to be with the learned ones, all your old people. And I learnt a kōrero tonight, actually, from my uncle. He referred to a balu. And I says, what's a balu, uncle? And he goes, a balu. You know, a taumiti, a hue, a puha, and you know, and having some dried whitebait or something like that. It's a balu. And I'm going to do a bit of research on that because, one, it was a cool learning. But the other thing is, I wonder if it comes from the word paru, like a paru. But I'm going to check out what other people know the balu to mean. Including you, Mum, if you're watching. I'm going to give you a ring in the morning. I know it's past 8:30. I'm not allowed to ring you after 8:30. So I'll ring you tomorrow to find out what the balu is. But it's those little conversations where I get my kai ā-wairua from. Because it's in that little conversation that it takes me to memories, takes me to new spaces of learning, and it also reminds me of the sacrifice that our tupuna gave to ensure that we have what we have today. And so I just wanted to share a bit about different places that you can get that kai ā-wairua from. Aloha. E mihi ana kia koe, koutou ngā whanaunga o Hawaii. Because I'm mindful that there's a lot of us online that will share kōrero, but we're human, and so we also need to get our own injection. And so I thought, after having an awesome few days of talking to some of my kaumātua, I thought, well, let's share this kōrero tonight. And originally I was going to call it, where do you get your kai ā-wairua from? And what inspires you? But it was too many words for the YouTube, so I had to shorten it. But just in wrapping up, the other place that I get my kai ā-wairua from is from actual practices that I practice. And so, you know, I see my cousin Rangi gave a kōrero at 6 p.m. about Rākau Nui. I also said my hello to Rākau Nui at around 6 while I was watering my garden, just to mihi te Rākau Nui. But there are other practices as well And I alluded to some of that in my opening karakia. Just as we acknowledge te whanaketanga o te tauhaka puapua, koanga, spring, different phrases that you can use for spring as well as the matamata. And how we acknowledge these different practices that help to guide us to be grateful, but also how we then combine some of the old practices where you would offer up different food at the hautapu, then you'd offer up different shoots for the matamata, and then also how you might offer up some introduced kai, like something from the fruit trees and other things, because it's still kai, and we use that kai, and it's a key part of our lives, so important to acknowledge it. Kātia, I just thought I'd share a little bit tonight, those 3 points of just to go over again. One, going to places, locations, geographical features that can fill your cup. Talking to people that have the wisdom to fill your cup. And 3, practicing or reviving practices that can also help you to reconnect. But like in the Avatar, how they plug their ponytails into the hunake, into the tree of life. That's our word for the tree of life. Hunakea, the hunakea. And so you plug it into the hunakea. These practices are also something that can inspire you and give you kai ā-wairua, to give you that filling feeling and recharge to grow and thrive. Kati ake, e te iwi, from our whanaunga there in Hawaii to the whanaunga there in Australia, and in both islands I can see people coming on. Kalani, hope you're well. Everybody else, tēnei ka mihi atu. Kia wakaere ake e nei kupu. Ki te tāhuhu nui o rangi nui e tūnei, e ara nei, a rākau nui, te mata nui o hina. Ki te kirunga hai, turuturu ohiti, waka maua kia tīna, hui e, tāi ki e.